welcome back to the Legacy Blueprint podcast. Excited to chat with Mark Stubler today from Joe Homebuyer. Mark's got a franchise model going all over the country right now, expanding upon fix and flips, wholesale deals. I'm gonna let him talk about it. But Mark, welcome to the show, man. Thanks for being here.
Joe, brother, thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely. Take us back, man. How did this all get started? And you told me you've been in real estate for quite a few years now, and obviously got a little bit of experience under your belt. So kind of how did you stumble into this game?
Yeah, I'm excited to visit with you here. I feel fortunate. I have to tell you, I feel super fortunate to have found real estate, meaning that there's so many different industries. I was a fence and deck salesman. I mean, so nothing to do with real estate, but I was a top performing regional sales rep with a great company, enjoyed it. But I'll tell you, I realized that I wasn't, even though I was there for 10 years, I'm a slow learner, I guess, Joe, but it took me that long to realize, oh wait, I don't work for myself. I very much still have to report to somebody. And that's where I began the journey. And I just feel fortunate, meaning I had flirted with some online businesses and e-commerce because I realized the power of creating an engine that way. Settled on real estate, and I just feel super fortunate to have found the industry of real estate. There's just so many ways to make money. It can be extremely rewarding. Obviously, your listeners know that. It can just be extremely rewarding for the input in. What you can get out is just incredible.
Yeah, I love it, man. So tell us about your first deal. Like, how'd you get into it? How'd you stumble? How did you transition from being a fence sales guy to, your first deal? Was it a single flip? Was it a wholesale? Like, how'd you make money your first time? Or did you make money your first time? That's another good question, right?
That is a great question. I did make money. I was a novice trying to figure it out. I'll tell you, I ended up investing in a mentor. And so he said, hey, go get a tax delinquent list and, send direct mail pieces to it, send postcards to it. And the truth is I had a little bit of cash, but I was going to get a deal because of hard work and grit and my sales experience. I wasn't going to get it because I was going to just blast out thousands of dollars worth of marketing. I didn't have that luxury or that confidence, right? So I sent 1,100 mail pieces. For those of you that are in the industry, that's not a lot of mail pieces, right?
No.
But for me, I was just dipping my toe in the water, figuring out what I could get. And I got one deal. And it was a grind. It was a 4.5-hour appointment. I had to leave and come back, give the seller a little bit of time. They ended up being super grateful to have somebody, relieve them of the house without having to touch anything. They were able to leave junk in the property. So they were jazzed. I was jazzed. I assigned it for $10K, which, knowing what I know now, it was probably worth double or that or so. But I was just happy to have a buyer say, yeah, I'll take it. I didn't have to take possession of it. I didn't have to rehab it. So I was just learning in hyperspeed. And to me, making 10 grand on that deal was like, oh, baby, this thing's going to work. So I got pretty jazzed.
You were super giddy. Your buyer was probably doing cartwheels because he was like, holy crap, I can't believe the guy that wants 10 grand. But I love the moral of this story, though, because I think so many people, they either get caught up in the deal logistics or what they think they could make, or they get analysis paralysis on the thing. I love that you're like, man, I got a deal. I got 10 G's, let's move forward, right? And I think that's actually one of the great takeaways to that story is that you didn't get stuck in the, maybe I could squeeze 15 or 20 out of this thing. You're on your first deal, like get to the finish line, right?
Yeah, and that's what it was, Joe. And that's such a great principle. You're right. At the end of the day, you just got to take imperfect action, right? Just get in the grind, get going, and be okay with the fact that, yeah, you're not gonna do everything perfect.
Yeah.
And the problem is I'm an analytical type mind, but the one thing that is true is I didn't have the luxury of questioning things. This had to work because I had scaled back in my sales position. I sold our family boat. So I had a little bit of extra cash. I put renters in my basement. I got myself in a position where, all right, I'm going to go do this little venture. I promised my 4 kids that, hey, give me a year, we'll get another boat. I've got to put myself in a position that I can go become an entrepreneur here. And I have to tell you, I didn't have the luxury of getting analysis paralysis or getting stuck in the details. I just had to get the deal done. I had to make money, so that afforded me urgency, right? And I would tell you, if there's a takeaway, I would tell people that urgency is your friend. If you are urgent in this business, it will serve you well.
God, that's such a good one too, man. And there's a couple. I was actually you said that so fast. There's actually a couple pieces I want to touch on because I think our listeners need to hear this. First of all, the urgency creates, you almost backed yourself into a corner, right? Like you
Yep.
promised your kids you'll have the boat back in a year. I love that, right? Because most people will be like paralyzed into thinking like, well, how the hell am I gonna get this boat back, right? You
Right.
effectively created adversity for yourself, right? And so adversity, as we all know, is sometimes the seed of opportunity. You actually backed yourself into a corner and promised your kids something. Now you have to go deliver on, right? Like you have to go out there and make it work, like make it happen. And that to me is like, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's so true. If you met my 14-year-old daughter, she was a little younger at the time, but she's always been this way. She'll hold you to it too,
Yeah.
Joe. So she said, "Dad sold our boat. He better get us new one. He says in a year from now we'll be boating again." So I had that obligation for sure.
I love that, man. I love that. All right. Well, take us to maybe, you've had 6, 7 years now experience. You had to have something blow up in your face. You had to have some really, really tough contract, some seller threatened to kill you or something along the lines, right? Tell me about when your worst experiences that you got out on the other side and you went, man, I'm glad I experienced that and it taught me something.
Joe, as an entrepreneur, I feel like there's just different seasons. If I'm being fully transparent, I would tell you that I'm probably going through one of those seasons right now with some bad hires and some frustrations with production. We're seeing our cost per contract has gone up, and it's just because of a lot of it's because of personnel. But probably one specific example that was adversity, definitely, but also refined me as a leader and required more of us, and as a result I think we're better because of it. But it was a personnel hire. We hired a guy that unfortunately wasn't honest, and as a result we found out that at least on one occasion that he took our leads and put it under contract and sold to his buyer. And realizing that you have to have people surrounded you on your team that you can trust. And I'm realizing that that's one of the catalysts when I hire somebody now or bring somebody on the team, that they have to meet the core values of the company. And, right. It goes without saying, and people listening are like, well, yeah, dummy, like I could have told you that. But, maybe we didn't know what we didn't know, but doing the best we can to assess, is this person going to fit culturally first and then worry about production later. Right.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
So my thought on that is just, with this gentleman, again, I wish him the best. It's been a few years, and so the wounds have healed. I've licked my wounds a little bit, but definitely learned the valuable lesson of hire first to culture, surround myself with people that see the world the way, that the team and the vision of the company is going. And that has saved us a lot of energy. Today, have we been perfect at it? No. But, I realize that the seasons of being an entrepreneur are such that if it's not that issue, it's a variation or something else, then I'm always being refined as an entrepreneur. So if you don't like learning and growing and being required to improve, don't be an entrepreneur, because it's going to put you through the refiner's fire. That's for sure.
I love the vulnerability piece, Mark, because everyone wants to talk about the mistakes that happened 5 years ago, right? But they never want to say, well, I'm going through that shit right now, right? And so I love that. Yeah. I love the fact that you're willing to admit that. I call it getting punched in the face. Like I feel like we get punched in the face every day. And like I said this the other day on a podcast, like people think you hit a certain level of success and all of a sudden you're in a beach chair all day long. Like I've never had more money in my entire life than I have today, and I get hit harder than I ever get hit. Like there are days where people are like wham, and it's like, how do I get up from that? And it's like, so I think what's important to realize, and I love that you keep saying it's you keep getting refined, right? It's an interesting way of putting it, right? It's like you're learning how to overcome obstacles and get through them each and every day. It's refining you as a leader, refining you as an owner. So I really love that, how you put that.
I don't want to go overly spiritual for our listeners, Joe, or your listeners, but I will tell you that I actually think it's part of why we're on earth. I'm a God-fearing man, and I would tell you that that's very much what he's putting us through is, hey, become the best you can become. Can I contribute more as a husband? Can I contribute more as a father? Can I contribute more among, in the community? Well, the best way to do that is to refine the tools that he's working with, right? So I think some of those things are given, these experiences are given for us, right? But during the time, and yeah, we have a multi-million-dollar company. We have multiple markets. We have a successful franchise. We're a successful franchisor with lots of successful franchisees. And I very much will admit that, there's seasons and that there's times that, are not as enjoyable as I'd like to think, hope, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you on that one. I hear you on that one. So what's next? What is the goal? Is the goal to grow more franchises? Is it to expand in different territories? Like what's up for, moving into the next year for you guys?
Yeah, great question. We're really excited about going into the future. We're at time of airing here, we're about 40 franchises across the country. It's been really awesome to create a community of franchisees across the country, buying homes, rehabbing, and building successful businesses. And it's become a passion of mine to really work closely one-on-one as often as I can with our franchisees to help them build their businesses and to get the benefit and experience, really what I have in real estate. And that is, it's just a fantastic industry. And so Joe Homebuyer is exactly that. I mean, we invest a lot of time so that really we can duplicate our efforts. We can have people can be us in their market in Atlanta or Tampa or Phoenix or wherever it is. And it's been just, I'll tell you, one of the most rewarding things. And I suspect, Joe, you've had this from listeners and as a mentor. One of the most rewarding things is to have a successful franchisee, to have them implement everything you teach them, and then for them to report back and just have exceptional results is very, very gratifying.
Yeah. Growth and contribution, right? Like you said it earlier, the growth piece is learning and growing better every day, but the contribution piece, giving back, seeing other people succeed as a result of what you created, that's more impactful a lot of times than doing it for yourself, So I 100% feel that. Yeah, I love it. So 40 franchisees so far, and tell me about the business model itself. I mean, is there mentorship? Is there what's the business in a box look like? You guys teach them how to do the marketing, the branding, or is it the whole thing?
So yeah, great question. And I love how you said it, business in a box. That's what you get with Joe Homebuyer. The whole idea is for them to save hopefully hundreds of thousands of dollars in marketing, questioning, what do I do here? What's the next step? And, hundreds of dollars equivalent in time, right? To see, successful franchisees get the results they're getting year one is a testament that the business in a box is working. But for each franchisee, it's something different. It's the individual mentorship for one. For another, we put a lot of emphasis on training and supporting their acquisition team. Whether they're a one-man show and they are the acquisition manager, we support in terms of best application for negotiation, managing the lead, all the way through fulfillment. We're very heavy on that because that's my background. I came from the sales world. And so I have a passion for the art of connecting with people and really structuring a deal with the seller so that it's favorable for them, but at the same time, it's capturing as much revenue as possible, right? Our mission at Joe Homebuyer is improving lives by delivering creative real estate solutions. So we not only want to have fun doing it, make lots of money, but we want to make sure that we're doing it the right way and that the sellers that we're working with, we really do differentiate ourselves, that we're going into the living room and they have a different feeling when they're working with us, that we're really concerned about not just paying a fair price, but putting them in a better position in doing so. But yeah, when you become a Joe Homebuyer, obviously you adopt that brand, you adopt that, that mission, but you also become part of a community with all the other franchisees, ongoing mentorship or access to the repository of content, and then just ongoing support. Like I mentioned, we're just deep in the trenches with our partners, our franchisees, to make sure they're on the path to success and whatever that takes ultimately.
Love it. Mark, what's your favorite part about doing this?
My favorite part about doing this is selfish. It's the growth that that's being required as me to be refined as a leader. Yeah. For some reason, I just find so much fulfillment in learning and growing. And as much as I hate those seasons I talked about that are rough, I just find a ton of fulfillment in like looking back and what's being required of me to develop more as a person and seeing the people that have been influenced by our company, both the sellers and the buyers and our team. So just developing as a leader has been probably one of my most rewarding and enjoyable aspects of being an entrepreneur, and specifically in real estate.
Love it, man. Love it. Now, I mean, listen, I mean, one of our greatest, our cultural pieces is great leaders creating great leaders. So I can definitely respect that. Like, I want to see, our leadership team create great leaders for the future, because it's the only way we're going to step aside, right? It's the only way, I'm going to not have to do this for the rest of my life, is that there's other people there that can take the helm at some point. So I love that answer. So where do you see, Joe Homebuyer in 5 years? Where do you see that franchise model looking like?
Well, for me, it's not just a quantity of franchisees, it's a quality of franchisees. We want just a lot of quality partners that are just experiencing a lot of success in their markets and doing it the right way, the Joe way, providing a lot of value for the families that they're working with, and obviously being extremely profitable. So in 5 years from now, I want to take over the world with home buying. I want to be the largest home buying company out there, collectively among us and our franchise partners. And I think we can do that. I'm excited about I feel like the opportunity is there. I feel like there's a lot of capable and talented people looking to create something for themselves, entrepreneurs that are, or even a lot of our franchisees or a significant percentage have actually been existing wholesale companies that roll over into, the Joe way, because they want to scale their business. And so in 5 years from now, it would really, to me, the path is pretty clear that we have an opportunity to become the foremost experts in buying homes, have a reputable brand, and doing it the right way, providing a lot of value in marketplaces all across the country.
I'm going to ask you two maybe silly questions, right? First one is, when they take over, is it like a legit franchise? Like, do they have the Joe Homebuyer name on? Like, is that what they call themselves in all these different locations?
So it is. Yeah, you become a Joe, baby. Okay. You can tattoo it, Joe. In fact, Joe, you have a couple tattoos, so I want to see a Joe tattoo someday.
I don't know about that, man. I mean, even if I got a franchise, I don't know if you're going on my body. But at least my second question, which is, where did the name come from? Obviously, you're Mark. Who's Joe? Is this just your average Joe Homebuyer? Is that where this came from?
That's what it is. Although I do have a Joe in Vegas and a Joe in Utah that swear that they were the inspiration behind the name. But nice. At the end of the day, it's just the average Joe. We wanted to be able to connect with sellers and let them know that we're local home buyers that are interested in their success. And we felt like that was just a very elementary way to say that in our branding. Yeah.
Now, it's a super interesting look. I've been in the business, like I said, for, I don't even want to say too long at this point, but, I mean, I've gone through iterations of different home buyer names and all that type of thing throughout the years. And it's a super interesting name. I actually think it's pretty funny that I'm sitting right on top of it all these years, and I never even thought about it. So it's pretty funny that you did that. Mark, awesome, man. What else did I forget to ask? What else did I not get into or cover that you wanted to get into?
Well, I love any chance I come on a podcast to just talk about personal growth, right? Obviously, your listeners are on here for a reason, and you provide so much value. One of the things you asked me on coming on the show is you just wanted, to make sure that the listeners had actionable things that they can go away with. You have seasoned investors, you have the newest guy or gal, and I just love sharing the value in personal development. I will tell you that, Jim Rohn and all the greats, ad nauseum have said, if you want to get more, you have to become more, right? And this is just a treat for me anytime I'm coming on a podcast, because it's just stops me from working in the business, and it says, all right, let's refocus on what are the things, in a podcast, I'm able to just recommit myself to what are the things that are going to help me get on the path to success and to develop as a leader and help my team and grow as a business. And it's that development. It's taking time. In fact, I have a mentor that I think you'll appreciate, Joe. He schedules somewhere in the range of 1 to 2 hours a day where he is spending time on just thinking and strategizing about the business, not even working on or in, it's literally just stop and think and reflect and strategize, and using, your brain to just come up with, the best ways to improve. And so that's one thing I always like to, just put a plug in is just what an opportunity, podcasts like this affords us, is to just get reminded of what am I doing regularly to feed that muscle, to refine who I am and how I see the world, and get emotionally at a high place. Because I'm convinced that that's the foundation. If you want to be successful at anything, you got to put that extra work in personally, emotionally, to develop as a leader, as an individual, before you're going to, do great things, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. I 100% agree with you. And, they say the most valuable real estate in the world, right? You know what it is?
Your body, right? Yourself.
It's right here. It's right here. It's between
Yep.
your 2 ears, right? So, you got all these people and I'm an executive coach, and I coach a lot of real estate investors, doctors, attorneys, business owners all over the country. And, the crazy part is everybody wants a better business. They want more money. They want more time freedom. And what do they really need to improve? They need to improve themselves, right? So it's great reflection to talk about, to think about. And, a lot of times slowing down to speed up, right? In order to pay attention to the big picture, the 30,000 foot view of what's going on in your life is really what helps you move the needle the most, because it's really hard. I think what you're getting at is it's hard to work in the business and on the business at the same time, right? So we all want to improve this business, but we can't figure out how because we're in the machine, man, right? So it's easier to get outside and look in than it is to do it while you're inside.
That's exactly right. Hey, have you ever gone to even a restaurant chain, one that, you can go to one across town, one, 2, 3, 4, 5 miles away from that one. And yet, so in theory, everything's supposed to be run the same, but yet you'll go into a business and the tables aren't clean and the floor, and even just the way that they push you through the line to help you get your food is a little bit different. And it's so funny because although they're supposed to have a business in a box, although they're supposed to have just, this is how much beans you put on the tortilla, this is how you do it. There's differences in terms of how they make the customer feel, how efficient they are. And I'm sure the profitability, and that, I don't know why that thought just flooded in my mind as you're saying that at the end of the day, you have to spend time on, are my tables clean? Is the ambiance in the store, because I go into these restaurants and I think, how is it that this one feels so much different and they're so much slower and the service is that much worse? It's because probably that owner, unfortunately, is not investing the time into what you just said, working, taking a step aside from the business and say, what's working, what's not? What can we do to refine and improve? Because when you do those things, they manifest in, in the results, in the production. And it's just interesting, being an entrepreneur, to observe those things as you go into stores. What would I change? From an outside perspective, it's easy for us to see, oh man, you change this, and this, and the business will boom. But yet when you're in the trenches, you're down looking up. You can't even see how blatant a dirty table is and that nobody's managing the cleanliness of the store, right?
Well, I mean, you touched on it earlier, and this is why consultants and coaches and mentors are so impactful. You literally got into the business, hired a mentor right away. It's the outside looking in, right? It's being able to see from a 30,000 foot view and not being in it. That a lot of times that perspective is all the difference in the world, right? You're not in the machine. And so when someone from the outside comes to that restaurant, they immediately recognize the things where the people working the day to day, they may not see it, right? It's the same old thing, the same old grind. The tables are always dirty, right? The tortillas are always upside down and cold. The beans always look like that when I throw them on. So, it's like that outside perspective is really what creates the accountability to do the right thing or to do it the way that it's meant to be done. So super interesting perspective.
Yeah.
Definitely on point. So Mark, how do people get a hold of you? Do you have any events coming up? Do you have anything that you want to plug?
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah. Visit us in Utah anytime. We do discovery days all the time to check out the franchise. But if you go to Joe Homebuyer Franchising.com, Joe Homebuyer Franchising.com, you can find out about the franchise. Would love to connect with you on social media as well. But if you're ever wanting to get into business or wanting to take your business to the next level, I'd love for you to meet the community of Joes that we have, and would love to connect with your listeners and see if we can't collaborate.
Fantastic. Mark, thanks for being on the show, brother. We're going to drop that in the show notes. We'll make sure that the URL's in there so people can get in contact with you. Guys, go look up Joe Homebuyer. Go look up Mark Stubler. Check them out. Great process and program, and I'm sure your franchisees are happy to be part of it. So, Mark, thanks for being on today, brother.
Hey, Joe. Thank you, brother.
All right, talk soon.